Can you please get your dirty foot off my chair and leg? Thanks.
Oh, but I need something to
What about that?
They can't reach up too short.
Daddy, can we bake brownies?
We're going to bake brownies later.
You're listening to
The SchultzCast.
The SchultzCast.
The SchultzCast.
Welcome to the SchultzCast. Today is Saturday, December 5th, 2020. This is a podcast for our family and friends where we interview our family and friends. I'm the announcer, Kevin, and here are our hosts, Samantha and Reed.
Thank you! Welcome to the show! We have an amazing show today because our guest is Uncle Mark! Hi!
Hi, Samantha. Hi, Reed.
Are you ready for some questions?
Yes, I am.
So let's get started. What is your favorite hobby or interest?
My favorite interest is sports. Since I was about your age, I've loved mostly professional sports, but I do love college football and college basketball.
Rank your top 5 sports to watch.
Okay, my number 1 sport to watch is baseball. Number 2 is professional football.
Nice.
Number 3 is college football. Number 4 is college basketball. And number 5, might surprise you, it's horse racing.
Soccer was not on that list?
Soccer is not on that list.
Soccer is my number 1 thing to watch.
One thing about soccer is not enough goals, not enough scoring in soccer.
Not enough scoring in football.
Depends which team you follow.
What are your favorite teams?
The Orioles and the Ravens. And the University of Maryland Terrapins.
Makes sense.
So, Terrapins are slow-moving turtles. It's not the best name for a sports team, that's for sure.
Are they a turtle or a tortoise?
I think they're turtles.
What got you into horse racing?
I make predictions with a couple friends of mine. The Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont.
What about the Pinewood Derby?
The what derby?
That's a car race. I'm a Cub Scout. You carve a car out of a block of wood. You can put graphite on so that it goes faster.
Oh, wow, that's neat. You do have races with them.
Yeah.
So you like making things then?
Yeah. He's an engineer. How do you think the Ravens will do this season?
Well, I think they'll make the playoffs barely, but they won't win the Super Bowl. That's still open to debate. The remaining schedule is very easy, but whether they'll have their full team this week, I'm not sure because a lot of the players tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, and I am so upset that Lamar tested positive. We watched the game, and I wore my helmet, but they still lost 14-19.
Yeah, I was disappointed too.
So, what was the best Ravens team ever? Like, in what season, what was the best team?
I think it was probably the first time they won the Super Bowl in 2000.
Didn't they win the Super Bowl in 2013?
Yes, they did.
The year I was born, they won!
But before the Ravens, I was a fan of the Colts. The Colts were the football team when I first started watching football in the late 50s. The Colts were Baltimore's team, and they moved in 1984 to Indianapolis.
It was the Baltimore Colts, and then the
Right.
Colts moved to Indianapolis, and then it became the Baltimore Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens were formerly the Cleveland Browns. They moved from Cleveland, I believe, in 1995.
The Cleveland Ravens? That doesn't sound
Well,
good.
no.
Yeah.
They were the Cleveland Browns. They changed the name to the Ravens when they moved here.
Was there a time where Baltimore didn't have a team?
Yeah, it was about 12 years.
And so who did you root for during those 12 years?
I think I kind of rooted for the Philadelphia Eagles because they were close.
Do you ever bet on sports when you're watching them?
The only betting I've ever done is I played football pools, which means I picked 4 games, and if I got all the 4 games right, I won $10. That's the extent of my betting.
Ever won?
Yeah, I won occasionally, not that often, but it was fun. It gave me an interest in watching the game.
Do you do fantasy sports?
Yes, I do. I play both fantasy baseball and fantasy football. I've been doing that for probably about 20 years. And it makes me follow all 30 teams in baseball or all 32 teams in football.
What does fantasy mean?
Fantasy means it's not real. Well, the player's performance reflects how your team does. You select players that play for your team.
Team captains? Like pickup?
Well, I set the lineup every day of my players, and their performances reflect how my team does.
Wow.
10 people get together, online usually. We pick players, and you can pick any player from any team.
Have you ever gotten picked first?
I have picked first before. I've also picked last.
Which do you think is better?
First. Get the best player first.
To be honest with you, I don't like taking the number one pick. I like taking like around the middle most of the time.
Why?
Because a lot of times there's not a clear-cut best player. And your second pick is earlier than it would be if you had the first pick.
Got it. Did you play any sports as a kid?
Yes, I did. In fact, we only had 3 television stations back then. So I played every sport imaginable except soccer.
What?
Soccer was not popular back then in my neighborhood anyway.
Oh my God, how did you survive? I feel so bad for you. So what were some of your favorite sports?
Well, my favorite sport to play was either baseball or softball. In fact, I lived across the street from my elementary school, School 69. And all I had to do was walk over there, and there were kids playing ball, and many times I got in a game. One thing, even though I played a lot of sports, I wasn't that good at it.
That's fine.
And I did not like running at all. Like when I hit the ball, I wish somebody else could run the bases for me.
I'm the opposite. I just want to run around the bases, but I can never hit the ball.
And you guys are pretty fast. I've seen you guys run. I was a good hitter, but very slow. I had short, stubby legs. I was always on the short side.
Since my checkup this year, according to last year, I grew 4 inches.
Wow, I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
I mean, my family was really short. My father and mother were both about 5'2", so I had very little chance of being tall. Yes, I mean, I was in Little League for a couple of years. In fact, I played right across the street from where I lived at my elementary school, directly across the street. So I actually went home for lunch every day.
Why?
I lived so close to school that it wasn't a problem, and my mother was a housewife.
What's a housewife?
A housewife is a woman that stays home and works around the house. She does plenty of work, believe me.
Oh.
I was gone all day playing sports. I mean, you name it, a sport. I mean, we used a dodgeball. We used a pinky. We used a tennis ball.
What's that pinky?
Pinky, yes, we used a pinky. A pinky is a little round pink ball. We used to bounce it off the steps. We used to punch it. It was just a fun time, you know what I mean? We only had 3 TV stations back then, and basically we were outside all day.
Do you use a pinky in punch ball?
Yes, we did.
What is punch ball?
You hit a ball with your hand, and the person has to catch it, or it could be a hit. I mean, it's been so long, I don't even remember how the scoring was, but it was just another activity to do. We played in the street pretty much.
That's dangerous.
Behind where we lived was a lot of kids, and I go there all the time and played a bunch of games. Look, we played wiffle ball, football.
Football is my favorite sport.
I love playing dodgeball.
We love that!
I did too. I think it was popular when I was about in the 3rd grade.
But this year we had to move our Christmas tree into the kitchen because if we put it in the living room, it would interrupt our dodgeball games.
You played dodgeball inside?
Yeah, our family dodgeball games.
I never played dodgeball inside.
Yeah, these kids have some pretty cool parents who allow it. Maybe next time we see Uncle Mark at Pop and Susu's, we'll do a dodgeball game. Do you think Pop and Susu would like that?
No.
It's been a long time since I played dodgeball.
Oh, me and Sam will crush you then.
I can tell you firsthand, as you get older, it gets harder to dodge, Uncle Mark.
I believe that.
Well, Sam is the fastest, but I'm the best dodger.
Well, I mean, my other hobby besides sports is music. I love listening to music. That started when I was a kid. I used to have something called a transistor radio. It was AM radio only. I'd listen all day to that. In fact, a lot of times when I was lying in bed at night, I'd listen to ball games from far away, I mean, all around the country on my little transistor radio. And I used to listen to the top 40 station in Baltimore, WCAO.
America Top 40!
Yeah, Casey Kasem, yes.
We listen to him all the time. Casey from coast to coast.
At one time, I was so interested in radio, I thought about being a disc jockey.
What's a disc jockey?
A disc jockey is someone who plays music on the radio. That period did not last very long because I realized that a lot of disc jockeys moved from one station to another. It wasn't great job security, and they moved from one town to another. But I always enjoyed music.
What kinds of music?
Well, back then, I listened to top 40 music. Today, most of my favorite music is independent music, artists that aren't signed to a major label.
What's your favorite song?
Never My Love by The Association.
Is it good?
Great.
Alexa, play Never My Love by The Association. Is Alexa really ignoring me right now?
She never listens.
Alexa, play Never My Love by The Association.
Yep, now I hear it. I love the organ in that song. Organ, to this day, it gives me chills when I hear that organ at the start of the song.
Kids are jamming right now. This is a great song, right, guys?
Yeah.
You should see them over back there dancing.
Well, they were popular back in the 60s.
Like New Kids on the Block?
New Kids on the Block, they weren't even born in the 60s.
What was your job before you retired?
Okay, my job is I worked as a claims authorizer at the Social Security Administration. My job was not real exciting. It was a typical government job, but one thing about working for the government, there's good job security. I work disability cases.
What's that?
People that are disabled and they apply for benefits, and I award people benefits, I terminate people, I send overpayment letters, and I worked for the government for 33 years, and I retired.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah, and I retired 13 years ago.
What's better, working or retirement?
Love retirement more than working. I don't like getting up early.
Good reason.
I graduated from University of Maryland.
You did?
Yeah,
So did Mommy. And so did Sherry.
and Susu also.
No! What about Pop?
We all graduated University of Maryland.
What did you study?
I majored in government and politics. I changed my major. I started in business, and I took an economics class, which I hated. So I changed to political science.
What is political science?
That's the studying of governments, how they run, and also my minor was history. I love American history.
Do you guys like history?
I do. That's all we have for today. Thanks to our guest, Uncle Mark!
Thank you.
Did you have fun?
I enjoyed it very much.
Do you think everyone should come on the SchultzCast?
Yes, I think everybody should come on the SchultzCast.
Thanks to everyone listening. Bye!
Bye.
Bye! Love you!
Bye.
Love you!
Thanks again.
Bye!
Love you too.
Okay.
Bye.
Welcome to the SchultzCast, and our guest is Uncle Mark.
Nope.
So let me start again. You're listening to the SchultzCast. And it's December. And here are our guests.
No. Last try.
Okay, so wait, how did you start again?
That's why I'm the professional announcer. Just
No,
let me do my one job, okay?
How did she start? You are listening to the SchultzCast. Today is December 5th, and this is a podcast where we interview our family and friends. This is a podcast for our family and friends where we interview our family and friends.
That was pretty good. That was much closer. Now, let the professional do his job. Today is Sunday. Oops. Let's see, I screwed up.
Says the professional.